Hey, it's Jared, and I am a recovering procrastinator, someone who has used procrastination as a way to kind of escape from things that just become overwhelming. Now, procrastination has been a problem for me for a long time, and I've had to figure out ways to overcome it in order to remain productive and reach the goals, get client work done, and all of that stuff. You see, I've been self-employed since I was 20 years old, self-employed full-time, and I haven't actually gotten a paycheck since I was 19 years old. And so any work that I want to be paid for, like I have to produce my own motivation. And procrastination, if gone unchecked, can lead to losing that opportunity. And it's taken me a long time to figure this out. I've definitely leaned on just my ability to kind of come out of it naturally, and that's worked for me to an extent. But as my goals get bigger, I desire to achieve more, and that means that my productivity level needs to reach new heights. Now, in the past, I chased tools and processes trying to figure out how can I make this the easiest, most frictionless process possible so that I don't come up against any hardship, which then would cause me to procrastinate. I've read many books on procrastination, and to boil many of them down, procrastination happens because we come up against something hard and our body doesn't want to do the hard, so we revert to something that's easy and we procrastinate. It might be scrolling our phone, it might be anything else but getting the hard thing done. And tools can help with that. They can help remind you of things that you need to get done. You can set deadlines, get reminders, and track progress. But tools themselves can just as easily be ignored as anything else. And so I've had to develop a process for myself to overcome procrastination, and it really starts before there even being an opportunity to procrastinate. So I'm going to talk about kind of a three-step process that I try to apply to things so that I can avoid procrastination, and maybe there's a little nugget that you might find useful in here. But I also would really love it, especially if you're watching this and you are an overcomer of procrastination, for you to share what works for you down in the comment section below. Now, I've always been a list maker. My grandmother was a list maker. She always wrote everything down. And I remember as a kid, she'd say if she didn't write it down, it wasn't going to happen. She just simply wouldn't remember it. And I took that advice early on and made lists. And then as technology advanced and to-do applications and task management applications started to get more and more available, I took advantage of those and leaned heavily on those to remind me of the different things that I need to get done. I definitely don't want things falling through the cracks. But there's a problem with just writing things down. I mean, if I write things down, it's a list of things that I need to do, and it's pretty much emotionless. I look at the list and I see that as things that I need to get done, and perhaps those are preventing me from doing other things that I want to do, like going for a run or spending time with my family. And a long list of tasks can easily look like a overlord tyrant trying to control your life. So one thing that I tried changing last year is developing meaning behind every task that I add. Now, when I look at my task list, there's a list of things there. But when I go into my notes where my tasks begin, where the project or the structure of something that I'm trying to achieve begins, I create meaning for that. If there's meaning assigned to something, then when I look at the tasks, I know that I'm achieving something that's bigger than the words that are on the page. The words that are on the page are very much get it done, got to move on to the next thing. But when there's meaning assigned to the task or meaning assigned to the project, the tasks become easier to achieve. When I take on a new client project, I want to understand the purpose of this project. I do a lot of marketing for clients, and so I want to understand what their goals are. I want to understand what their mission and vision are, understand who their customer is. And the more that I wrap myself around their vision and mission and their brand, the more I can assign meaning to the tasks that I'm going to have to perform for them. Otherwise, I'm just building a marketing tool that doesn't do anything for me, that does something for the client, which is great. That's what they're paying me for, but I can't get really excited about that. Sometimes it's repetitious, especially considering I've been doing online marketing for 20 years now, and that can get a little bit repetitious and feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over again. But what's different is every business that I work with and the desire and the reasons why they got into that business in the first place and why they're producing whatever it is that they're producing. Usually there's a good story behind that. I only like to work with clients that have a good story and that are producing something useful. So when I truly understand that and feel like it's a great cause and a great reason, it's very easy for me to create tasks and stick to them and get them done and not procrastinate, because I'm producing something that has some meaning, and it has meaning for other people as well. So my first step when working on a project is to develop a definition of what that project is. And that project can't just be like, create a website for a client because I want to get paid. I mean, that is a result. I'm going to do some work and they're going to pay me for some work, but there needs to be some meaning associated there as well. It can't just be a cut and dry transaction. Otherwise, when I come up against some bumps in the road, I'm going to want to procrastinate because there's nothing bigger for me to attach myself to. I also like to visualize the impact that this tool that I'm producing is going to have on their business. And not just with relationships with my clients, I also do this when I'm thinking about a video that I'm going to put out, when I'm thinking about a course that I'm working on, or any other piece of work that I'm working on. I want to visualize what the end result is. What is going to happen when somebody comes in contact with this? Is it going to be useful? Is it going to help them get to the next level? If it's a website for a client, is it going to bring them new customers? And what are they going to do with new customers? They're going to be able to help them. That might mean that they need to hire new people if they get busier. And that means that they're supporting new families and they're supporting new customers as well. And more people are able to benefit from the product or service. And so I'm visualizing what the tools that I provide are going to do for that business. And when I'm visualizing that, it's building up purpose inside of me, and I'm able to stick to the tasks. This also helps me understand the why. A lot of times we end up doing work and we wonder why we're doing it. If you don't have a why to attach yourself to, then it's going to be easy to procrastinate. The next is to assign clear purpose to each task. Now, little tasks like I need to go and drop the packages off at the post office, there's really no need to assign anything to that. It's just go drop them off. It's pretty cut and dry. But when it comes to tasks that are going to take a little bit more time, they're part of a bigger project, it's good to assign a little bit of a purpose to them, especially if you know it's going to be a little bit more of a challenging one. I've been doing this long enough to really know the kind of tasks that I have a tendency to procrastinate on. And so because I've developed that level of awareness, I'll take a moment to assign some purpose to that task. That task is going to get me closer to this milestone on the project, and this milestone on the project is part of the bigger picture and completing the overall project and achieving the meaning and purpose that I originally started out with. So let me talk a little bit about what that process looks like. When I have a new client or when I have a new project that I want to start on, I don't just write the project name down and then get started on it or figure out what tasks need to be done to achieve that. I start by writing it down. I want to understand what the purpose of that is. Like, why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? Well, it's to create this tool for a client, or it's to create this new course that's going to help people better achieve ABC. And so as I start to list these things out, I'm not writing tasks yet. I'm not assigning myself any job yet. I'm writing down what is the purpose behind this? What is the vision and mission that this is attached to if it's somebody else's? Or if it's a project of my own, is it in line with my own mission and vision? Because if it's not, I'm going to have a hard time staying connected to it, probably going to end up burning out because it's not in alignment with what I truly believe and feel is what I should be working on. So first and foremost, I measure the project up against those things. If it's my own project, I measure it up against my own mission and vision. If it's the project for somebody else, then I want to understand their mission and vision so that I can make sure that everything that I do is aligned with that moving forward. Then I look at what the milestones are for those projects. Some projects are small. There might only be one milestone. But if it's a bigger project, there's usually multiple milestones that I can reach, and those are like checkpoints. Those are points in which I might be delivering something to the client or launching something. It's not the entire entire project, but it's a portion of the project. And within those milestones, I have the ability to reconnect with the mission and vision or the purpose of the project if I need to. And it's also an opportunity to kind of celebrate progress. See, when I reach a milestone, you feel like you've reached a checkpoint. If you've done any sort of endurance activity like distance running, when you reach the aid stations, I see those as checkpoints. Obviously, there's usually signs on the side of the road or whatnot that say, oh, you've reached 5K or 10K or whatever it is along the way. But I see those aid stations as checkpoints. Those are opportunities to connect with a few people that are there to reinforce me. I can get a drink of water or maybe a little snack and move on and keep going. And milestones are opportunities for me to check in, for me to refuel as well, and then continue to move forward towards achieving the ultimate goal. And so milestones are really important in making that happen. So once I've identified my milestones, then I can start to look at the tasks that are going to help me reach each of those milestones. And that looks different for pretty much every project that I've ever worked on. Even though I've built a lot of websites over the last 20 years, it looks different for almost every single business because none of my clients are the exact same. None of their businesses operate the same. And it's often that they're in completely different industries. So it's very hard for me just to have like a boilerplate template that I can use and apply to everybody. And honestly, that wouldn't work for me because if I was doing the same thing over and over again, or perhaps I systematized it to the point where emotion was completely out of it, I would find ways to procrastinate and I'd probably end up burning out because it was just the same thing time and time again. So once I have all of those tasks listed out, I make sure to have all of those organized in a place that makes sense so that I can see them all at once. And I usually use a notes application for that. The notes application isn't going to be where I manage the day-to-day tasks to reach those milestones, but it's going to be kind of the home base for all of that information. As I gain more information that might help me better understand the overall project, I add it to that document, and that becomes the place that I check in often with that project to make sure that I'm continuing to move forward and to renew my motivation. That's why I've been able to simplify the applications that I use. I'm using Apple Reminders for task management, and I don't need these big project management tools anymore because I have my tasks. I can set reminders, I can set deadlines in the task manager, but I always go back to the document that has the mission and vision. It has the purpose. It has the reason why I'm doing this. It has the milestones. It has the tasks that I need to achieve in there. It has the check-in points with the client. It has the deliverability dates and all of that stuff. And so it's easy to go back and get realigned should I get a little sidetracked. So that's how I went from procrastination to action. I hope that there's a tidbit or something that you found useful in there, but I'd really love to hear what works for you as well. So let's talk about that down in the comment section below. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you back tomorrow. Take care.